Hello everybody, welcome to the training videos for the Mississippi Model Security Council. At this point, I'm sure everybody is very fluent in the use of Zoom and other online platforms, but we are going to be making these videos just to show you how to utilize Zoom specifically for this conference and how to utilize it for the parliamentary procedure that we will be conducting today. The first thing you're going to want to do whenever you enter your committee room using the links we provide is to change your name. And for our double delegations, one of you is going to need to be assigned the voter and one of you is going to need to be assigned the non-voter for the purpose of this committee. So I'm going to go ahead and change that. You can do that by either clicking the lower left-hand side of your screen where your name is or the upper right-hand side where this dot is. And I'm going to hit rename. So I'm going to go ahead and rename myself as the U.S. and appoint myself the voting member. This is important because whenever we go into voting procedure, both of you do not need to be voting. Both of you are still free to speak at this time and to put your country on the speakers list and to message the dais. However, whenever we are conducting voting procedure, both of you don't need to be voting. So this is so we ensure that we do not mess up the voting tally. And this is what the non-voting member will be. They will just, and it can be the shorthand of your country's name, but that does not need to have a non-voter distinction. Just one of you needs to be distinguished as the voter. We are also going to provide some MMSC approved backgrounds, which will be your country's flag. So say you want to change your background to that, we are okay with that. However, we ask that you do not change your background to anything else or anything that we do not provide, so it is not distracting. So should you want to change your background, go to this where your video icon is, hit the upward arrow, and then you're going to hit choose virtual background. And we are going to select this background for now because your presidents and vice presidents will have a similar background in the back, and that will distinguish them from the rest of the delegates. With that aside, we're going to talk about getting on the speakers list. The only time you're going to use the hand raising option or the clapping icon is whenever the dais first asks who would like to be on the speakers list at this time. Everybody is going to raise their hand, so you can either hit the raise hand motion, which will bring you kind of to the forefront of the dais' screen. However, not everybody has this option, so as an alternate, you're going to go to your reactions and hit the hand clapping emoji. I do have an important note to make about the hand clapping emoji because it is only up for a couple of seconds. So if this is the only option you have on your Zoom app or your computer, make sure see how it's gone away. You're going to want to ensure you keep hitting it until the dais has acknowledged that you are now on the speakers list. Anytime after that, after the initial calling and opening of the speakers list, what you're going to need to do is direct message the vice president, and they will put you on the speakers list. So say I want to do that, you go to the chat function, and since right now we obviously do not have a specific vice president, I'm going to just message the non-voting USA and pretend they're the vice president, and I'm going to say, and just send that directly to the chair. And you can also use this feature to private message other delegations, start forming alliances, and start caucusing. However, you ask that you be respectful. I will make note that the host of each meeting can look through the logs of private messages, so do not send anything that you're not comfortable with us seeing. And you can also message everyone. So for example, whenever we organize breakout rooms, you can send a message to everybody and say, we will be discussing this topic in breakout room 3. Some basic functions. I'm sure you all know how to mute yourself, which we ask you to do every time you are not on the speakers list unless you're making an interjecting motion. Say you need to make an interjecting motion, we ask that you wait until after the last speaker is finished speaking and before the chair has called on the next person on the speakers list. What you'll need to do, simultaneously use a hand raise or clapping emoji, unmute yourself, and make your point. The chair will then acknowledge it and conduct the rest of the session accordingly. Same for stopping the video. So say you ask for a point of personal privilege to leave for a moment, or you want to, you're the non-voting delegate and you want to discreetly leave to deal with something. We ask that you do stay present for the conference as much as you can. However, if you're going to be doing something distracting or there's something happening in the background, you do turn off your video feed. just in that case scenario. So you can do that by hitting the stop video button located in the left-hand corner right by the mute button. If you are participating in the conference, we do ask that your video remain on whenever possible unless your camera is broken, because we're trying to create as similar an experience to an in-person conference as possible. So say it's time we move into voting procedures. We're going to go here to participants, and this is where our voting is going to happen outside of a roll call vote. To vote yes on a motion or a point, you're going to hit the green button. To vote no, you're going to hit no. And if it's a substantive vote and abstaining is an option for you, you can normally hit this coffee cup button, and that's what we'll use as abstain. However, in case your interface does not have this option, we're going to ask you to use the go slower button, and vote will be counted as an abstain. Remember, whenever you're going into voting procedure, only one of the delegates, specifically the one that is labeled the voter, needs to be voting. In the event that you want to submit a written amendment to the dais, we are going to provide a link on a master doc, and also it will be posted in the chat frequently for you to use to submit any and all amendments other than friendly amendments. So you're going to go and you're going to click on this link, and it will pull up this Google form. So you're going to type in your member state. You don't need to distinguish between being a voter or a non-voter, and you're going to specify which clause you are changing. And then here you are going to describe how you're changing it, explicitly state what verbiage you're changing, and if you're striking it, just write. And then you can submit it to the chair. As you need to make sure you do these before the time for written amendments is up in your committee. That is, for the most part, what you need to know to utilize Zoom for MMSC. Whenever we do go into breakout rooms will be at this icon right here next to the reactions. And another thing we ask is, prior to the VP making the breakout rooms, after the motion to go into an unmoderated caucus has been approved and passed, we ask that you either message the dais or just unmute yourself and politely tell the dais something specific that you plan on talking about. And we're doing this because that way, whenever we create the breakout rooms, we can have a couple of breakout rooms specifically labeled with specific agendas. So say it's amending clause 3 or talking about striking particular clauses. You're going to let the chair know that. That way they can label these breakout rooms, and people then know where to go according to the topic they want to discuss and how to use their time. We're doing this because you can't caucus as normally as we normally would. You can't find the different groups, and we found in our own conference experience, not labeling the breakout rooms led to a lot of confusion, and instead of being able to just go there, you spend a lot of time finding out where to go. However, if you don't have a specific topic in mind and you want your unmoderated caucus to be open agenda, we will have breakout rooms that are not labeled for you to use and create new topics of conversation within those. Whenever those open, you should get a notification that a breakout room is opening, and you can choose which one to direct yourself into. Thank you for watching this. If you have any additional questions, we do have longer videos going into and showing you explicitly how these are used in action. So please do check that out. I'll link those below. And if you have any questions after watching those, my email is srm643@msstate.edu. My contact information is also on the website, and I'm sure teachers have them from our promotional emails as well. I cannot wait to see you all at this year's MMSC.